muted it on my computer. Let's try it now.
I am pleased to call this meeting of the Midtown High our first order.
That's not good.
It's probably continue.
Yeah, just continue. It'll all be on the recording. This team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. Ms. Boyd, is there a quorum present?
Yes, there is.
Okay, our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you. And are there any changes to the agenda? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
A second. Say aye. The secretary can record your vote. All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Please say abstain. We approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections? If there are no further corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes? A second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Please say abstain. Okay, our first action item is to fill the open community member seat. Do I have a motion to approve this item?
He's coming, he's not here yet, so can I wait till he's gonna be on? Can we table that? I mean, just move it. Move it down.
So we want to go to the discussion items and then come back.
Mhm.
Oh,
It's fine, it's just.
okay, we will now move to the discussion items on our agenda. So the first discussion item is the school strategic plan. So we have our school strategic plan, and and we'll review our plan as well as the priorities. So we ranked them last fall, 2024. So this was our priority rankings from last year.
Okay, so this is the connection between the plan priorities. So on this left-hand side are some of the priorities that were ranked in the top 5 by the Go team last year. And then in the middle column, you will see our current, and SIP stands for Continuous Improvement Plan. So we do a continuous improvement plan as a leadership team every school year. And it should be guided by the strategic plan. So the center red columns are our current goals based on that SIP, although we got our graduation rate today. Dr. Hoffman, do you want to share what our graduation rate is?
I will when we do the data.
Okay. Oh, that's right. So we're already meeting that. So we do have one goal on graduation rate. We have a goal to increase each of the EOCs by 5%. You'll see that we left ELA off of that because it is a completely different test this year. So in the past, 11th graders have been tested in American literature. This year, it's going to the 10th graders. So this will be our baseline year to collect data there. And then we are trying to focus on increasing the percentage of students who are in dual enrollment, AP, and industry certified CTAE classes, specifically in our subgroup areas as well. We're underrepresented subgroup areas. Which one in here?
On the volume, so it's fine. Like, yeah.
Oh no, I want this to be hidden.
Can you put that?
Yeah, they can put it.
I'm just worried that it's gonna.
You can just make it smaller.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so this was emailed out ahead of time so that everyone could take a look at some of the data that we have. Currently, we are at an enrollment of 1748, although I think it might be slightly higher now. This is about 5 days old.
1752.
Okay, so we're definitely moving along there. You can see our breakdown by demographic. Over here on the right-hand side, we have 100 language learners right now, 662 gifted students, and 149 students who qualify for as a student with disabilities. Over here, graduation rates are continuously improving. And I don't think I added the new graduation rate. Yes, I added it to tomorrow's presentation.
Do we know,
Do we know? Yes, we do.
the percentage of students on free and reduced lunch or economically?
About 30 to 32% of our students
Is
are
there
economically.
a reason we don't really include that?
So for the district really doesn't include that data because other than North Atlanta and Midtown,
We're not
the
Title
well, it's not even just Title I. The remaining clusters are CEP schools, so they don't have to fill out the free reduced lunch form. All of the students in the cluster get free reduced lunch, so they don't pull that data out a whole ton in APS graphs, but it is available on the CCRPI website. So it's always about a year behind, but based on the 2024 CCRPI, 32% of our students qualified for free reduced lunch.
Which is an increase actually over about 5 years. It was up 22%, and then it has gone up. So, okay, so our graduation rate was 92.8 last year. We had a goal to make it to 93, and we hit 95.4%, which is the highest it's ever been. That's an increase of 2.56 points. So that's awesome, everybody. That's really, really, really great. Especially given that our population it's not gentrification really. It is homegrown kids in this whole cluster that are doing that work with the teachers and the support staff. So I'm very, very happy about that. But 95.4 is really, really good. We were one of the, not few, but one of the not very many that had an increase, and an increase in that size is really, really great. So I'm very proud of Midtown and our seniors from last year.
So this is our map result data for fall. The top represents the most current data that students just took. And then down here is a comparison to the spring assessment that students took. You see our 12th graders don't take it, so we only had one student take the map test accidentally in the spring of last year, so you can't really compare it from 12th grade. But you can see we did have growth in most areas from the spring to the fall. Now, this is the only time our students will take MAP this year. They're going away from taking this multiple times to just taking this once a year in the high school space. They're still taking it multiple times in elementary and middle, but high school is only going to be required to take it once just because the amount of testing that they have outside of this.
And has it happened already, right?
Yep, yeah, this is current data. Yeah, this is current data.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah. No problem. So you can see in all the areas, 50% or above are scoring in the distinguished range, with another, 15-ish percent scoring in proficient. So
I would also like to say that this might not be the most representative because a lot of people do not try on map testing at all. Like we'll just click random answers too. So they could be high based on the actually try testing.
yeah,
Many people
exactly.
do not.
This is another reason that we're going with taking it so many times.
Right. And I think if we really, really push that and said this is the only time, because I agree, Norris, it's not that representative. And I wish people would take it seriously because it's one time, and it does help us determine, right, teachers use the data, but also, okay, even thinking about classes for next year, okay, if we don't have that many kids that are operating at a higher level, then we don't need this many. I mean, I think if we explained it better, I think you all would take it more seriously.
And it has been helping with gifted testing as well. So and that's the other thing. Because a lot of people don't think about gifted testing in high school.
Sorry. Excuse me. All right, so this is 2025 Georgia milestone results. The top is the district and the bottom is Midtown. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And then we broke this down by ELL students. Again, the top is going to be the district data, and then the bottom is going to be our Midtown data. We did notice we have had a huge increase in the number of newcomers in the EL population. I think it almost tripled from last year, and a newcomer is classified as someone who's been in the country for under 2 years. So their data doesn't necessarily count towards content mastery the first couple of years that they're here. But we have definitely seen a large number. Our population and size almost doubled, and then the number of newcomers almost tripled. So we're definitely seeing a larger population of EL students to support.
I know you said the population.
There wasn't a whole ton of movement, honestly. It was pretty consistent with the previous year. Last year's data, all of the data is on the insights page on APS, and you can dig down pretty deep into the data. Okay. And then, this is our exceptional education students, which is a change in title for the district. So this previous ones are students with disabilities. This is the exceptional education students. We did see growth in almost every area for our exceptional education students last year. While we, still had some work to do and gaps to close, we definitely saw growth on every milestone last year. So we're continuing to focus this as an area. All right, this is our AP data. I think we've seen this before, but just want to make sure that it's up there. We had over 2,000 tests given to 851 students last year. Out of those tests, 91% of students scored 3 or higher on the AP exams that they took. So we were really proud of that data. That was an increase of 82% the year before, with a larger number of students taking the test even. So we're excited to see that. We even have a higher number of students taking AP classes this year, so that's meeting our goal of trying to get more people into those AP and dual enrollment classes as well.
Do we see how many people who are within the AP class, the AP class?
That's one thing that we do here for the school oftentimes is there are a lot of schools that have really, really high pass rates, but they have very low percentage of taking these in them. I know our school is very high. I mean,
Yeah.
last year, I only had 3 out of 105 AP similar kids who didn't take it. So our take rate is really high.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if that's true for all subjects.
Right. I think
It
It would be interesting to see the data.
Majority of the time, I think the only hang up, like with my class, why some people don't take it because it's the same time, it's the same day as U.S. history, or one of the tests is that test is in the morning, mine is in the afternoon, and a lot of students are like, a few of them, they're like, I can't. So I think sometimes that time as well, but I've seen majority of the time when they're signed up for AP, like, that they want to wiggle.
Some seniors as well. Like a lot of seniors won't take an AP exam as well, or like comp sci. A lot of people think it's
So is that,
It varies. Some of you actually outside schools.
Won't take it.
Exactly, and that was the conversation last year about my class.
and so where do we find that data?
It's in I don't know how to get it publicly. We would have to probably pull it. It's in College Board,
What is it you're asking exactly?
the take rate.
take rate.
And do
I mean, it's very high, but.
Yeah.
you have more detailed breaking it down instead of 3+, and then you have number 4, number 5? I think that would be.
We do.
helpful.
Yeah, we have all of that data. I could break it down a little bit more by demographic, so you can This is just the student participation. So you can see in most of our groups, we are increasing the number of students who are taking the test. And then this is AP data demographic. So the percentage of students in that subgroup that scored 3 or higher. And to look at some of the growth from the year before, especially our Black and African American students, 57% scored 3 or higher in 2024, with 71% scored 3 or higher last year. We saw an increase in our Asian population and our Hispanic population as well as 2 or more races. And
We are putting a lot of emphasis on that. More students of color in our AP classes and so the test. So that's, we're very pleased about that.
course, the number of tickets during the day.
oh, great. And then this is our end of pathway assessment. So this is our students who are in CTAE courses completing a pathway through classes. Last year, we had 198 students who took one of the pathway assessments. We had a pass rate of 91.4% overall for the students who were testing. And we saw a big increase from the prior year, 77% pass rate in 2024. Or it went up to 91% pass rate for 25. So, and you can also see the number of students completing pathways through as well, from 195 to 234 from the school year to the 25
Is
year.
the number passed and the number failed supposed to equal the number tested?
Some take it, you can take it twice, you can take it,
And then some take more than one pathway too.
yes.
So the number of kids won't always match
It's
because
not the
they,
number of tests, it's the number of testers. Because that would add up. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any growth and growth or what you noticed or anything?
I would say that and that has been increasing over the years, and it's significantly more in our subgroups than anything that happened in the past. All of those are really different. One of the things that we noticed that they that the number of AP classes that students take in pass is correlated to a higher rate of students enrollment after high school. So it just sets up all the groups for persisting through college. We'll say that's what's really very successful.
I'm really pleased with the ginormous growth in the subgroups of AP and the CTAE. It's just absolutely tremendous completion rates and the pass rates. I mean, from 1 year to go, you know, almost 15% that's like huge.
I also thought the scores were impressive. I think this slide just showed the numbers above 3, but at least we passed and familiar with a very high percentage of above 3 class. Was high. Score, so it seemed like the actual score.
I think one thing I would add for the growth is because I think we did well last year in focusing on the exceptional students, and we saw that grow with them, and probably maybe take the same thing or something similar to put it now because we have that growing ELL population, and now trying to see, because I think we did the work and it shows that we did push those students, the exceptional students, but now it's like, okay, now what can we do to keep the ELL, especially since it's a growing population now?
That was my next question. And since we have such a big growth, what percentage of our teachers are certified EL? Have the first acting? That might be something that we can try and push training as the population will be shifting.
And I know the ESOL teachers are very receptive. They're easy to get in contact with, easy to help and assist. And even other, like I've even reached out to other staff who have a Hispanic background that has been helpful to me as well. So just being able to share those resources too.
Is the growth primarily during this semester, or is it
Say that one more time.
is the increase in year over year number?
I mean, yeah, the large majority definitely is, but we do have other less populations represented as well. But yes, the majority is men.
So just to help you with the acronym EL, is shorthand for English as a second language.
English language learners.
Yeah, students are in all levels of, from testing out to, I mean, it's
Yeah.
so many different levels.
So our EL students take the access test once a year. That's something that they take in March every year, and they take a test basically on reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And it gives data on where they are in all of those different areas, in addition to a composite score. And so then that data is used to schedule them. So students might be, really high in speaking, but writing and reading may not be a strength. So we can put them into push-in ELA class, for example, so that they get they're with their native peers, the native speaking peers, then they put a separate teacher in there to work with their newcomers. They might have more what's called sheltered classes. What we have 2 full-time ESOL teachers, and so the students might be in a sheltered class from 1 or maybe even 2 class periods a day in a smaller setting with students who are have similar data to them. So all of our EL students have a very personalized schedule based on their own access data, and they get support in math and ELA, not just language.
If access scores are done every year, so we keep reviewing them and making sure they're still in the right place.
We had a very large number of students last year, 24-25 school year, that also tested out, but that really made progress. And it was, in fact, record-setting for Midtown and for the district.
Highest
So,
percentage of students in the district to exit the EL program last year.
I have one question about milestone data, and I know we have it's a percent are gifted, and then in the biology, when I look at the top scores in at least bio, I think all students on level M gifted take that. It was at 34%. Is that discrepancy just probably on the lack of seriousness on the test? But you would think with 38% gifted that might have been a little bit higher. And in terms of American Lit, is there a course that the gifted kids are taking instead of on level? Is that why that? Okay, that's not true for bio, but and then same with there's AP US history, so the gifted kids wouldn't be in that.
And we also.
Well, no, that's
I also think about giving very educated kids who are highly gifted in math and like the arts, definitely not good in mathematics. So I think there's always that disconnect.
and many kids that are not to get score 4s.
Yes.
It's hard to just match it.
So a lot of the kids have been taking the math and language tests for years, and only a year or 2 into taking bio.
I do have a question. I know they're changing the 10th grade literature, and now they're doing the milestones. So a lot of our students here in the 10th grade, they're signed up for AP seminar. Are they required to take the milestone, or they will? Because that's the same thing with U.S. history, correct? Like,
Yeah.
If they're signed up
taking
for
AP
AP,
US
they
history.
No.
Okay, they don't.
It used to be AP Lang, they have to take, you can see AP US history was
does not. They take one or the
That's
other.
why the scores are very, the
That's why
US history.
US history is gonna be much standard.
That's why I was wondering, because they changed the literature to 10th grade, was the 8th seminar students going to have to take the milestone? Okay.
And the
And we also
standards, are maybe, Lacey, about those health standards.
Actually, it's actually that for our students, because a lot of the standards for their writing, synthesis, text, where they're analyzing the other visual text, which is something that they don't do as much with writing, but we do. So there's a lot of, I think, a lot of benefits. And we have changed, we have to change our due date schedule for spring semester so that we can have some prep time for that EOC before the students submit their final papers for September. So, you know, trying to start to get spring on, but we can pace it out so that we're going to try to protect some time for that EOC prep.
I know it's a district policy or actually a state policy and not a midtown policy, but it's definitely a source of frustration for the kids. So in 11th graders were in AP English Lang. That's 11th, okay. So they took AP English Lang as 11th graders, but then they had to take the American Literature EOC, and you know it counted for towards their final grade. So they had to take a test. And Miss Boyd, the teacher, did a great job of cramming it in. But it was definitely frustrating for the students to have to. And so now it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Seminar students. So they haven't solved the problem initially. I thought they solved the problem when I heard that 11th graders weren't taking it. But it's now just the same problem for AP seminar kids.
That's exciting.
It's a state requirement.
But I do think the senior kids are in that position to do well. Yeah, to do really. Wouldn't do it all.
Do you think that doing more of the on-right score is going to help as well?
I don't know.
I'm kind of on the fence. But
Yeah, right, because right scores score better.
it's something that district has really implemented. That's an assessment of writing that our students take. We map their progress. So, yeah, it's just in the program.
Are there any additional questions about the data that we looked at for the milestone, the strategic plan?
We look at proficient and above, and for the subject that we're talking about here, is American Lit. Proficient and above, I think, in the early 60s or something. Yeah, he difference was 2%.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is 2025 data, not 2023.
If you add that together, you have 20.
Okay.
So the stuff that the topics that we've talked about to follow up on, I guess, would you just present them at next month's meeting? So I guess more detailed information on AP. And but I didn't capture the other questions, but
I'll get them in it.
We're also going to do a kind of data review with all students in the next couple of weeks. Going over each student's data profile, individual data profile with them in class. The teacher leading that, so that kind of that thing you saw with everything. Every student has one of those as well, and I wish I could show an example. anyone who would want to volunteer to show their,
Your data.
but, it's really, can you pull up? Oh, well, we
But
probably don't want to do it on
Yeah,
this.
sheet,
because
the
it-
sheet.
Right, just blast all over it. It would be good.
It's recorded.
It lists everything from map to SAT, PSAT, everything that the student can really see. Oh, okay, this is why I'm doing, this is why I'm here, this is attendance, behavior, current grade, credit earned.
They'll go through 2A
Not
classes.
science.
Well, no, it'll be a 2A, every 2A people. We're gonna find out.
I think it'll be really helpful.
Good question, I because I know a lot of classes have substitutes or like, could like for instance, calc right now.
Yeah.
Miss V might not exactly like know how that all works, so it's kind of hard to communicate with her.
Good good point.
We'll make sure we've got somebody in there for those.
That is great. Because you know, why, the why. Especially if you like, understand how much
Okay.
it affects.
Yeah. So they'll get a one-page, their data profile, their individual data profile, and then one page of reflection sheets kind of walk them through what they're looking at and make some goals.
We'll have access to.
It's gonna be on paper. We'll have to actually get it home. Their child can get it home.
We could put it in the report. I mean, I know that's a lot of praying, but we could, I think it might be. really
Yeah,
good,
Or
but-
we send out a message to let them know that students are coming home. Well, some numbers work.
We'll add that to our problem
Like the map
solving.
scores.
We'll add that.
You just picture, make it a school with your son. Their parents and that stuff. Pull it up.
We've gotten through all of those questions.
I have a question with the map results. For kids who like maybe might have had some difficulty in some of the map results, is it possible to so that like the parents, for instance, could help their child that go on Khan Academy or IFL in these particular so you help yourself on that?
I mean, absolutely, we can provide that. The only challenge is really figuring out first, did the child take it seriously? And I think that would be like the first question of the student, like, is this going to be accurate data? But if you email your child's counselor or administrator, we'll be
Who
happy
should you
to
email for that? 'Cause I
provide
will send
that.
it for, I've actually emailed almost every year to get it, and I literally don't get responses, which wasn't a good sign. But because the first year they did math, they sent the extended report. I think the parents trying to get a report that really information at all.
Yeah, right.
And when I sent emails to the school for my children, I wondered if the teachers have been called.
Well, I wouldn't email the student's teacher. I would email your child's administrator or counselor. And you can pull it for you, for sure.
I think that would help the parents. Kind of helping the parents is one of our things. More equitable, or supporting their students, something like that. If they were really kind of easy.
Because it is a little surprising when you get the milestones report, it does show, the back sheet does show those domain scores.
Yeah.
But the first time you're seeing them is after they've already approved the year.
Right. Yeah, I wish Math had like a parent portal to log in, but it is tedious. Like you can't even pull it. You can't pull those reports as even a class. You have to pull every single individual child's report. It's not super user friendly, other than like printing example reports.
And it's not, it's just like, it's not used to be.
And I want to make the point that, back when we were in fifth grade, before we had a like CAS. It doesn't happen with CAS. So the kids can figure out how to do that for the age report. And it showed, oh my gosh, he missed really key fourth grade geometry classes. And so we knew exactly what they were, down to like certain problems, triangles, one block, yeah. But we would have never been able to do that had we not had that.
And we're going to go through like a Midtown Connection one pager tomorrow on the parent copy. but there's a QR code to take you to my backpack and kind of give several different resources to go on there, like Progress Learning. Well, some of that will give you that data. And then the other one that our teachers use a lot is well, math, I guess, but they can't see the data on their end for that one. But we'll talk about that in the prepared copies with some other resources like that.
As I found now, you can directly enter the next question. Academy to better access if you got the supplemental course.
I self-made something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but only our students who are in our IEP, REP programs have access to IXL. So like our math support students, our reading support students, they're the ones who have IXL subscriptions through the district.
So now we can move to the information items.
I think our goal we talked about finding opportunities for parents to engage in participating at the school first semester. Did we do that one and the other one?
Yeah, I mean, so every semester we have, 2 opportunities per month to have parent conferences. We also have our curriculum night and our open house in the fall. We have lots and lots of sporting events. We have our counselors do multiple opportunities throughout the year for dual enrollment, for financial aid, college applications, theater performances. We
The coffee shops.
yeah, our principal coffees. I think with parent conferences alone we hit that, but then we definitely have a lot of opportunities outside.
Any other questions? Okay, so now we will move on to the information items, and then we'll first start with the principal's report.
So as you know, we received some money because we had increased enrollment. And so I'm going to tell you where we put that money. So we received back the reserve, we always have to pull that back, and then we received the adjustment for per pupil. So you can see we had 34 more. Then we got it. No, we had more than that. So, but we know we do not get more money. It's what's done on the 20th day, 15th day. So we don't get any more money. But so all that together is $492,000. It's what. So we matched it to the priorities, which we always do for the whole budget. We, if you remember, we cut our Chris on aid services 3 days a week based on the budget, and so now we're able to add back 2 days. So now we're back to 5 days a week as the contract that's approved downtown and that kind of thing. But we're back to 5 days a week, which is great. That's about $50,000. That's the special ed. So we added an additional special ed lead teacher. So we have Mr. Johnson, and we are adding another one as well. Our special ed population is growing. The requirements are growing. The responsibilities of the teachers are very heavy. So we are adding the special ed lead teachers too.
Sorry, I'm gonna go to this. Easier way to see it.
So we added money to these. We really cut all these things. We cut, and now we're able to add back STEAM supplies, resources, field trips. We've really streamlined our field trips. We're able to add more back in alignment with STEAM. Added some money to employee travel, so sending some teachers to certain things, in November, some of our English teachers are going to the conference, just those kind of things throughout the year. We'll send a couple of people to the STEAM conference in Athens this week, things like that, that we weren't able to do. We are buying some computer equipment, but this is those licenses, the web-based licenses. We're buying 3 of these, 3 more boards. Ours are aging.
Quickly.
Replacements. That's a question for the teacher, because what do we do with all these aging boards? But we are able to buy 3 more, and we have bought a few more over the summer, but we're able to do that as well. We always need more supplies. We have covered our supplies of everything that we need for school teachers to use. We are able to put some back into that. The locker room, the visitor locker room. It's awful. It's a dungeon. Have you all ever been in there? No.
Don't go to any of the locker rooms.
Right, nobody, but it's really the visitor locker room, and it's awful. It hasn't been touched in years, so we're just gonna do some refresh painting. We're gonna take the lockers off because we don't use the lockers, which will give some more room. Really, it's just to make it little inviting, right? So that's, we'll use that. And then, just some overtime pay for some of our clerks. I don't have money to pay them for, and they work a lot of times overtime, so able to do that, add that back in, and cut that.
I had a question about the personnel changes. I remember last year, one hired, and that position wasn't going to be filled, or whatever, backfilled. So there was a discussion, maybe hiring an additional Spanish teacher at the start of the year if the numbers worked out. And the Southern just had an article about the Spanish 3-4 classes, and it was not very complimentary of how things are going in Spanish 3-4. So I guess I wanted to get your thoughts about whether an additional Spanish teacher is needed and how things are going this year with combining Spanish and 3-4 in class.
Well, that's not actually new. We've done that in the past. We do that with French as well, with 3 and 4 because of the numbers. More kids take APs and take 4. It's very difficult to add any kind of teacher after the school year has started because of the schedule. And complication here. It's not easy to just move the child into a Spanish class because then you have to schedule. It's impossible to do because of everybody's choices. We were not able to do Spanish because it just wouldn't help. We're also have to watch, we have so many more kids coming in level 2, so Spanish 2, Latin 2, French 2, that it's pretty impossible to judge that. But it really, you cannot bring on a teacher 30 days into the school year without it. I mean, you can't. Because if you were talking about, then you'd have to take, just say we're going to do the 3-4. If you wanted to bring on a Spanish teacher to, have one of them just do 4 and 3, I'd have to change 30 people's schedule.
And also finding somebody
Well,
who's really
right.
qualified.
Right.
At this point,
They already
it's a
got a
really,
job, they'll send a contract.
yes.
The one you all already.
The original having with some article was the concern of being able to cover the amount of material they are reporting in the school year.
Yeah, they had interviewed a teacher and students, and they said that, the teacher said it was making her, I shouldn't paraphrase it, but to read the article, but the main takeaway was that it's more difficult to teach when you have 2 levels, and it's more difficult to learn. So the students were saying that they were having, struggles, and it sounded like the teacher was having struggles too. Well, I guess, I hope it's something we keep an eye on so that, when comes budget time, if there's an opportunity to add a Spanish teacher back, Because I know we had talked about it in May, saying, well, maybe we can bring a Spanish teacher on at the beginning of the year, but it sounds like that's not really, you know, so, I just encourage us to keep that on the radar when we're budgeting, when we're looking at the budget for next year.
Like you said, I think the difference is they're trying to teach two classes at the same time, two different levels. I mean, just now I'm only taught kids, 2 years of friendship, it's just a different kind of thing. You're teaching them all the same thing at the same time. That seems much more feasible. Like curriculum 2 or 2 to 3, and then group of kids all in here, and then trying to teach 2 different groups of students, 2 different classes.
Yeah, as someone who's done that, I've heard them at previous schools, I've taught similar research classes. I've taught AP one and AP two in the same class. It is very difficult, but sometimes the numbers, that's what it happens.
And there's the dual enrollment option that we wish more students would take advantage of, for those higher level classes. And that's, we have kids that do take Spanish and take French.
Art's in the same position, right? Then they have multiple classes in the same
Who?
art.
They do 3 and 4, drawing 3 and 4. Yes, there's those. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is that the first
I think that's just student numbers, like maybe have 10 kids who want to take third year and 8 kids who might take the second, third, fourth year, and having using a teacher for 2 classes, 10 and 8. Most classes have to be 42.
Right, exactly.
So,
Do you know how many classes there are of the Spanish curriculum this year?
No.
So is that, okay.
Just the numbers report.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The next one was the APS board, the 2040.
Next meeting is October 20th for public meetings, virtual at noon and in person at 6 p.m.
also stay on the website because there, any school that's doing impact our schools curriculum is on the list for a meeting, but there's a lot of people keep your eye on that list. And see that out on the tablet, you have to wake up every morning and look at it. Just,
So, a couple of people have asked about some things that we've done over the years, recent years, to help with overcrowding, parking, things like that. So, we do have many more kids that are taking advantage of the early release, late arrival, dual enrollment options, which does create some, definitely alleviates some stress first and fourth periods here at school. That's also another thing that adds to the complication of scheduling students that are opting to do those things, which we like to offer them, but then also versus like you have to take, you're now taking 3 classes rather than 4. We cannot offer everything at the same time. And so, that it just creates real scheduling challenges when students are coming late or leaving early. Again, it's helpful, but it's also just, it's hard to do, but we do it. So
that has really changed in the year. So we used to do seniors in the spring semester. Now it's here, now it's morning, and it's morning, and it's
and it's shifted classes that we needed. We've reduced some classes the kids were taking as it's called filler. It's no judgment on the class. It's just that they were to fill up the schedule. And, so we dropped some classes that we didn't need that didn't make numbers.
Say what kind of art?
A couple of social studies classes that were semester long. The oceanography, more kids are taking the environmental and the forensics, and they're just taking anatomy and physiology. So we dropped some of that. We dropped a couple of music, art classes, things like that. The teachers, the students weren't choosing, or they did choose them, and then all of a sudden in July they wanted to change their schedule to minimum day, and so that created a real kerfuffle. And we will be forcing students to really make any changes they want in May. May is going to be the call. We can't do it. Once people find out who's in what classes, and all of a sudden then they want to change. That's some of the Spanish, some of the 3-4 people all of a sudden decided they wanted to take 3-4, or they wanted to not take the AP and take the 3-4. And Mr. Vincent is extremely lenient, and he will not be this summer. It's too hard to do that. I love that he really and he does try to make everything work to what students want. It creates some problems.
We also reduce the session classes.
Oh, well, there always are. We might add more AP stat classes, low advanced algebra classes. I mean, that fluctuates just based on who's taken what. That's a huge scheduling.
Like we have more calculus classes this year than we've offered, more statistics classes,
It's more environmental science.
more environmental science.
Yes.
Just really depends on the course requests that students put in. Because those course requests really drive what
Look at the
happens.
students, because I know a lot of students take advantage of SIMG and take advantage of AVA during the semester, so that alleviates a lot of the math classes, and so that breaks them down to make them smaller or bigger, or things like that, so that type of stuff matters as well.
But that really is part of the Spanish things, right? So they decided they want to take any Spanish.
Which is pretty expensive. Do you have a count for who are taking, like, the English courses or Spanish courses?
We can't schedule them until they finish the class. So while you may say you're going to do it, and you may start it, say in the summer, but you don't finish it, that's why we can't schedule based on that, on what you might do. It has to be, you have to wait until they finish and pass the class. So.
You say the kids are taking the online outside of it.
Oh, well, we know who's taking AVA classes. We know, of course, who's in dual enrollment.
How does that see where it is like?
Okay. Some are
The
some are
number
doing
of-
it for initial credit. Some are doing it for remedial credit. Yeah, I don't know that would help any, but we can. Yeah, I can get numbers in 88.
But if you look at our school profile, which is on the counseling website, it has updated information of how many students are taking dual enrollment classes currently and have in the last 2 semesters. So we consistently update that information.
Do you know how Midtown's numbers on early release, late arrival, the enrollment compared to the other high schools?
No. Mm-mm. You could probably get that through the counseling office in APS. Jennifer Wilson is the head counselor. She might be able to give you that information. It's probably the quickest way to get it. But we don't have access to anybody else's data except our own.
Because they have a real person, you know, they have a real person, everyone, you know.
It's still new.
So of course we did the A building, we opened that in 2021. which added a few extra classrooms. It was mainly a replacement. It didn't add a whole lot of classrooms, but it did add a few, some science labs. Very helpful, got rid of those trailers. We paved the additional parking lot, but that is, talking about the lot by the stadium. We got an additional 20 spots there. And so that was wonderful. Mainly that moved the kitchen, the people that work in the food service, gave them a place to park. And we were able to put about 8 more kids, give 8 more kids parking. And it's always helpful to lose their parking spot, as if you have. Then that opens up some parking spots. So, we've added some additional staff as needed. And that's just over the years, do that. Instructional and non-instructional, a lot of support staff. We created additional office space, so the teacher workroom that is on the C200 hall used to be spacious, and now it has 4 offices. We constructed 4 offices in there, and so. Yes. Yes. Probably. Yes. I'll talk to you about it when I get home, but yes, I think so. Okay, fine.
Dr. Barton, you had said last year you had added some non-professional staff to help with moving through the hallways and things like that. In addition to things like that, what other types of staff?
Well, we have two social workers. We added a counselor. If that's what you mean. Those kind of things. We have 2 504 SST people where we had 1 before. We're adding the self position.
Project manager.
No, that's not it. That's the statement isn't an additional, that's to fulfill a district requirement.
So those, yeah. And then the others are like, yeah, we added the SOL, we added a lot of that. But those are the main ones.
It really does, as a teacher, having multiple different sort of things on up there. Having the freedom to actually work with different folks, having the freedom to not have money meetings and that kind of thing. Having that support staff that can handle a lot of that is crucial.
So with the various additions and more students coming in, obviously the hallways haven't been increased. The common spaces, we got a new media center, but a lot of the common spaces, have stayed the same size. So have you noticed an increase in congestion in the hallways, in cafeteria, in bathrooms?
It's horrible. Like, it's actually, I don't know if there are more students, obviously, I don't know the exact numbers, but it feels way more compressed than it ever has in the stairwells. Like, the students who stand outside after lunch and, regulate people going in, because the hallways, especially in C buildings, the stairwells are really, really tightly packed to the point where, people push. I had a girl the other day who kept shoving me from behind, so I go up the stairs. So it just feels a lot smaller. I'd also say that class spaces are a lot more packed. And at least my AP1 class has the classroom is packed to the brim with as many people as we can possibly fit. At least it feels very crowded.
So lots of people just stay in the hallway because people don't socialize, so they stand in the hallway talking to them. So they just walk super slow.
Increase your voice a bit. People that are listening are having a hard time, so just speak a little louder.
Okay. Yeah, so people are definitely just standing in the hallways, just to socialize and stuff. And I tell a lot of people just walk very slowly. Like no one wants to get to class on time. So like they're like timing it out, like they're pacing it out, like like it's just like not only it's like it's more people, it's like kids would be kids, you know what I'm saying? Like we want to do what we want to do.
Right.
So it definitely just feels congested in those spaces, especially like near the stairwell where people like can like just leave there.
Right
It's
there.
just-
Mhm.
it's
The C-
crazy.
But definitely the C200 stairwells are tight.
Yeah.
Now, students can use other stairwells, like the A building, the stairwells
They're
are very
huge.
wide.
But no one goes
No
over
one
there.
goes
It's
over
so
them.
weird.
You can come up those outside stairs right there. So, and that does adjust, like the first couple of days, everybody in the whole school seems to be using the C200, and then they kind of figure out, oh, I can use the A building.
Yeah.
I'll also say that it's really hard, especially because like I go up and down, like I go C4 and it's like get through all the hallways, various stairwells. We might not go because like I could go to A, but if I'm getting from the first lunch all the way to C4 or bio, it's a really long walk around. It might even take more time than like pushing past many different people to get up there. So it's all about like trying to get class on time,
Right.
especially because like our attendance policy is more strict. Teachers are like less lenient about it. It's just hard to like move spaces.
Lunch is okay, but now, we have a really improved food service system, more lines, more choices, which helps with the lines. Kids are going with lines.
We have
And
4 lines every day now.
It's like it's a really big thing. Like you just telling the quality of the food. Like I remember at how I had to pack a lunch because like the food was so bad. Like I never packed lunches, but like I had to pack like a peanut butter jelly sandwich. But like I definitely just like go and eat food. Like they have pizza. They always have pizza and they always have like a sandwich. And then there's like something random like today they had soup, and the other one they had tater tots. So it's nice. It's nice.
it is it's a great variety. And we added a la carte stuff, so you can buy things, chips, and drinks, and things like that now.
With those 4 lines and this more efficient process for getting lunch, would that be able to accommodate 300 additional students, or you would need to go to 3 lunches?
Oh, we'd have to go to 3 lunches for sure.
3 lunches. And is that create scheduling issues? Does that make things more difficult having?
So it's a challenge if you have the middle lunch for the teachers and the students. That's not the best. You go to 45 minutes and then you go to lunch and then you have to go back to for 45 minutes. So that's certainly not the best instructionally.
Because I've with the had 4 lunches during that period.
Yeah.
It's possible. It's just, the only thing that gets annoying is hearing the bells between classes. But then a lot of schools have, because when I came here, I was surprised that they only had 2 lunches. So the majority of the schools I came from, they had 3 or 4. And even when I was in high school, I had 4 lunches. So it is possible. It's just the annoyance of the bell and getting used to who's going to lunch, who's coming back from lunch, and breaking it up that way. But I believe it's possible.
I think the fact that we have important.
Exactly.
I would say that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can
To
say
have
that.
fewer lunches, like in the, I think, school, that more students, we have 4 lunches, and yet if you can have like a reading period, it's add on the lunch period, and all of us shorter, and we have to make that period much longer than how many lunches. So I think I would.
And even when it rains outside, they open up the practice gym for students to go there and eat. And so because they're used to that outdoor space that now is raining, trying to stuff everybody in the cafeteria, but they can also go in the practice gym, and you also have the multi-purpose room. That's, and I've had events in the multi-purpose room, and it's still it doesn't look packed in there. They still are comfortable and can sit where they want to. I don't see having more lunch or anything like that being a issue.
No.
Because it
It depends on if they're second
period.
lunch.
Yeah, if they're second lunch, then no, but if they have first lunch, then go lunch if they want to, and then go to class, and after class, go home. But if they have second lunch, a lot of them probably are like,
They
okay,
just
I'm
leave
just
at
gonna go home,
1:30.
because I don't have to report. Yeah.
But if they have first lunch, it's not an option.
Although I have some who say you want. Just really good. I go grab it first. Maybe a second.
No.
Can I eat it?
No, you
Or
can't.
get it
I
fresh.
don't really want to stay for so much. I'm like, oh, well, I don't really want to miss impossible.
Right.
So thank you.
Speaking earlier.
Okay.
Oh, no. Your sister's talking about the creative space. Before we talk about the okay.
And then we still have a few teachers that do not have. A couple of the health classes are always moving, our college success class. So. It's better this year.
It's definitely better.
We're gonna roll in trailers that we know a lot more. They kind of have to translate.
At this point, it's just all teachers. Like our special education teachers have like an office, but then they teach in different parts of the building. Because a lot of they're co-teaching for the day with another teacher.
So they have a square,
Right.
have a dedicated. So we forgot about the public comment in the beginning, but we do have time for a public comment.
There's no one in the chat.
No,
Yeah,
okay.
there's
So-
been no one in the chat.
Does anyone have any announcements? Did anybody go to the So we have reached the end of our agenda.
Can I just say, has everybody done their training, budget training? We need to do that before we start that process. Everybody.
Do we do it again? No, we did it once. I didn't go through
Depends
that.
how
I don't
many
think you
years.
have to do it again.
That's a separate process from the virtual and in-person initial training, or is there something on top of that?
No, just
No.
if you've done the
The
training.
co-team training.
Good point, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say, like, I know I didn't do the other one, I wasn't planning, so.
Before we leave the, just an update. So baseline for revise as checked out, there is another survey. If you go to that website. Yeah. Just go ahead and take the survey. Definitely take the survey.
Okay, we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time?
I have one question for Dr. Bach.
Mhm.
When they're doing the presentations on the comprehensive facilities plan, Tracy always includes a slide that talks about various other energy utilization, kind of runs through them very most of the discussion, partly driven by comments or boundary alignment. Is it useful for consultant to be producing separate research development information that for an high school level, like is there research analysis that would be useful to provide would be useful to you? Just so it seems to me that that's something that's more robustly than missing right now.
Do you mean like on instructional models or scheduling, or is that what you're talking about?
Well, for example, having been to a couple of their presentations, he'll sometimes say something about like, teachers moving rooms or like various adjustments to utilization. talking about now how there's a lot of new novel uses of technology that he's seen that have been effective in other districts but haven't been implemented in APS yet. And he doesn't really get into details, he kind of teases at that. And I guess the question is, if you think it would be useful for the consultant to produce some type of material for you or other, then I think it would be
When he's
fleshed out a
talked
little bit
about
more than that.
kind of a dual schedule, I guess, some kids coming from 8 to 4 and other kids coming from 10 to 6. Yeah.
He's also mentioned novel uses of new technology. Like I said, these were not fleshed out ideas, kind of teases of the fact that there's tons of good ideas out there and new models available, but then most of the discussion is about, I think reasonably about the instruction plans, which also never reasonable.
Well, as a community for a long time, as somebody that we've gone through so many iterations of possibilities, schedules, academies, great configurations, reconfigurations, and we've really vetted those heavily. From the 5, 6 to moving the 9th grade to the end of whatever this week, the building up the hut. I mean, we've looked at so many different things. We've looked at the scheduling. Our kids are pretty wedded to offer. I'm concerned that doing something so drastic would really change all that data. But it's more important, it's not just the data, it's more important about the class. I don't know that we can offer art 3-4, drawing art 3-4 in the morning session and the afternoon. You'd be talking about bringing a lot more teachers, or shifts, or I'm worried about sports, clubs, other activities. You can't have 2 shifts though. I mean, I just, maybe, I know that there are other schools that have done it, but some of those are major urban areas in New York where they don't have the number of sports teams. We have to be really careful about comparing something really apples to apples.
So Dr. Hartman, have they given any suggestions on how to accommodate, because it's going to continue this every year. And like I did the breakdown, they don't start collecting SPLOST for the next SPLOST until July 20th. It's going to take 2 years to get up to $220 million. So you're looking at 3 to 4 years where we have that how maybe kind of carved out the spaces that we have here already. So have they given any indication other than the time about how we can accomplish?
No. I haven't got any solid ideas, no.
Because that would be, I think for people taking this kind of work, how do you get, until that comes?
Well, I guess we'd have to do some of these things, like you were saying. I mean, we'd have to have more floating teachers, for sure. We definitely have to do that. We have, like the ROTC, there are 3 classrooms there that we only use half the day, so we could use that. There were a couple, they're far away, but, and then we have to really use the space in a different way, a better way, to accommodate.
So you're talking about the first things that we have in that art school, or craft school, it's going to take at least 2 years to collect enough classroom to pay for that.
One of the things that, I don't know if they definitely, I think it was mentioned on it, but I think that at both of the previous schools, and that's what I think they got overcrowded, sorry, that both the previous schools that became overcrowded, we got started off with 0 kids. We had a period before first period that was 45 minutes. And so, but it met every single day. And it was great for like math classes or for like certain CTAE and, electives, and it was really good, and teachers would oftentimes just go into the day to keep the class, and then you would have that extra teaching staff that would just come in an hour and teach those classes, and it was great. Kids got out, to get out even earlier. Maybe they did zero period and they didn't have to get
It's definitely yeah, we could pay teachers to teach extra periods, and we have done that in the past. It mainly just came out of their planning period, but adding a period.
And if it's only an hour,
I mean, paying
every
them for it,
day,
but
yeah, since it's smaller every single day, it really is helping them, you have all these kids who aren't in the hallways, in those other jobs, right?
I don't think buses though, and kids who take buses would, that might not be, because they wouldn't be able to.
That's why they typically offered it, but it was typically for those higher level classes, like in Spanish 4, or those
Taylor.
It was the Taylor classes.
Yeah.
So that worked really, really well. We had like the higher level theater classes, one of those only, of course, certain.
Maybe we might be able to do more virtual. I mean, really good virtual. You have to be on camera, like you have
like
to
planned
be
virtual.
Right. And not like ABA. I mean, it's teaching.
Yeah.
Teaching a class online. You
But
know.
also, being careful not to impact the student high school experience.
Right.
They go to high school and want to have a high school experience. Right. But some of these things have to have a very big budgetary items in that that's not possible. The money hasn't come in. And so I knew that Dr. Bracken had mentioned looking at potentially extending the date for leveling and the whole round, and it didn't happen this year. Because like, we're not getting money for another 20 students that we have in our building now. And, you know, we're gonna need all, if we're gonna have to do any of this, you know, in the years to come, we will next year, and we will the year after that, and we will the year after that. You know, it's gonna take money. And our school allocation doesn't cover that.
Yeah. I mean, it may be, you know, for instance, it's like the Spanish situation with 3-4, or we have calculus, AP calculus, we pay somebody to teach a period. That's really like for Ms. Hunter, we never want to have.
They were already very busy
You
scheduling.
know, and it's really hard to find people. Also thought, okay, we'll just hire somebody to teach, to try to find somebody that will come in and do one period. It is so hard. But that's really up to that.
I will say for AP Calc, we're not actually being taught necessarily by our teacher. We're watching videos. Every single thing about that at the moment. Also for Zoom school, like at least back during COVID and whatever, I know being more planned and organized, but sitting on your computer is an extremely isolating experience, and you don't actually feel like immersed or engaged, or you're not like required necessarily to pay attention. Because like even if you have to be on camera, you could be doing a million other things.
Depends on the instruction. As far as I teach on my workshops all summer with teachers, and I'm really good at keeping that connection and all.
And I think it's important to recognize, we're not saying it would be, well, it might be one class that you take online, and, you know, it would not be your whole experience.
I think this conversation sort of ties back to my class. You have a ton of institutional knowledge about how to do things. It seems to me if there's time where just brainstorming or a day of multiple research, it would be helpful to you. That's either you don't want to do or it's not within your capacity to do. Seems like I would be interested. If that's something that ends up being useful to you, kind of seeing if we can push some of that out and involve that as part of the utilization plans.
So may I have the motion to adjourn?
I would.
All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please raise your hand. The meeting is adjourned.